Coming up on today's episode.
You know, it's just, I really like Cairns. I love living in Cairns.
I'm nearly convinced, yeah? Like I'm about to uproot my life with my partner. She doesn't know yet. We're going to move to Cairns.
I know a guy that can help you.
Is it you?
It could be. Could be.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together. The top 10 hottest suburbs in Australia. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Today, we're going to be unpacking all of this, why it's a little bit of a bullshit game, what can we do to change it, what should you look for, and then how to actually get you a better investment opportunity when looking at green shoot suburbs versus chasing what's hot in the market. Here's the uncomfortable truth. By the time a suburb is labelled hot, the best part of the growth might already be behind you. Today, we're going to break down the top 10 hottest suburbs and we're going to explain what that label actually means for someone trying to build long-term wealth through property. And I've got expert buyer's agent with me, Cam Tyers. So Cam is the founder of TheWayE1 and he specialises in helping everyday investors who maybe own a home, maybe you've got one or two investment properties, and he helps them scale their portfolio strategically for long-term wealth. So this isn't about chasing headlines. It's about building something that actually works. And Cam, one thing I know about you is you hate the word hotspots. Why is that?
Well, it's as you've said to just before, like, you know, it's already hot.
Yeah.
And if it's hot, it's not. But like, we'll deep dive into it. But, you know, I want to talk about what's going to happen before it gets too hot and everyone's saying, oh, I'm buying in that area. Because that's where we can grow your capital growth and get in before everyone else.
I think that's the thing though, right? It's like you talk hotspots and like you always see the headlines. I think Domain loves that article, realestate.com love putting out that article. And it's always, here are the 10 hottest suburbs and you're just about to miss out. You can still buy.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but the entry point shit.
That's right. And you've already missed out on certain parts of your great capital growth. I mean, also looking at it, you know, some areas have second winds, which are great, but that's not always a great thing either.
Interesting. So this is what we're going to unpack today, and I'm keen to have you here to talk about it. So let's test this out the right way, okay? We're going to list the top 10 current hottest suburbs. So take a measure. It's February 2026. These are the hottest suburbs right now. Number one, we have Newham in Tasmania, or Launceston, right? Glenorchy in Tasmania as well. Christie Downs in South Australia. Elizabeth South in South Australia. Grovedale in Victoria. Golden Square in Vic. And Kowara Beach in Queensland. Loganlea in Queensland. Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. And then Albury-Wodonga, which is the New South Wales-Vic border. So we're not going to go through all 10 individually. What we are going to do is break down the 3 on the list. So we'll pick one in each kind of area. So like Vic, Queensland, Tassie or New South Wales. We'll just go through it and see what happens. That way you can understand the patterns behind the label. So we're going to teach you how do you spot these patterns of what's hot and what to look out for. What do they got in common? So what makes a suburb hot? Let's give you some context. These classifications come from hotspotting.com.au's price predictor index. So for those that don't know, they compare quarters over 6 quarters over 6 quarters over a 2-year period. And then they give it a label, whether it's, you know, rising market, declining market, or stabilizing. So in simple terms, it's looking at behavior, not just headlines. So Cam, when you see a suburb labeled rising market, right, or plateau, what are you looking for beyond the label?
I'm looking at factors as why we're going to get into there and what it's going to be able to do for you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at like what's ahead, and there's predictions of like infrastructure, or not so much predictions of infrastructure, but what infrastructure is going in there, what developments. It can be multiple things. It could be like, you know, we're building new hospitals, which is always a great asset. My favorite thing at the moment is the inland rail. It's always growing everything in there. You're looking at population growth. So in certain areas of Australia, there's going to be major population growth that are predicted due to the infrastructure that's going in there. One of the things about Queensland is that it's hot. You've got a government in there that is very much on building Queensland. I mean, we've got the Olympics happening, which, you know, Olympics is one of those things which is great. It's going to bring tourism in for the month, but the biggest thing I like about the Olympics is the infrastructure that we're building to create that long-term infrastructure development in Queensland. There's certain parts of Victoria doing the same. There's billion-dollar hospitals going up everywhere in Victoria, which is well needed, well overdue. You've got one in Western, Footscray area. You've got Frankston happening and Melton as well. Then you've got, the growth corridor happening down in Geelong, which they're predicting large growth there. But, and just released was AUKUS in South Australia.
Oh, that's right. It was too,
you've got a $30 billion development happening in Port Adelaide there. So that's just going to help with bringing people in to build these things, but then you need people to actually work in them once they're completed in the building. So that's great opportunities.
And I think a lot of people with the Olympics always kind of say, oh, but the Olympics come and go and then you've got this dead infrastructure. And I'm like, but no, the infrastructure that they're building, in your opinion, is that lifetime, like now it's going to be reutilised, or do you think it is a one and done?
No, definitely not. And I've been traveled quite a lot in my day, but there's definitely cities around the world that have done that. Like your Greece, even Canada, in Montreal, that their building is sitting there. It looks great, but it's just a derelict area. Australia's smart when it comes to this sort of stuff. We keep using it. Look at Homebush. Look at the MCG. We had the Olympics there. We've got Gold Coasters, which is just booming since the Commonwealth Games. So we do it smart. One thing that Victoria is doing is that even though they handballed off the Commonwealth Games, lots of the infrastructure that's going into like your Latrobe Valley region, they're still keeping the grants going. So that's helping drive things up. And we'll go into that area soon because I like that area. I have bought in there and there's multiple reasons why that maybe not everyone knows of.
Instead of following the label, oh, this is a rising market, therefore I must buy, from a classification, it's more of an indicator for you to go, well, okay, why is it rising and how long has it been going, right? And this is what a lot of these deep dives are going to be. So let's kick off in Victoria. We're going to go to Grovedale, right? So now I'll give you some stats. So Grovedale's median price has moved from roughly 667,000 in 2024 to about 700,000 today. So we're not talking about like a massive spike, but we're talking about steady movement. So 12-month growth is sitting at 4%, and the 5-year growth average is around 4 to 5% mark as well. So that told me that this hasn't just suddenly exploded. It's been compounding over a period of time. So vacancies under 1%, which in simple terms, like vacancy rate for those that don't know, it just means supply is tight. Right? And yield is sitting at just under 4%. So this isn't a high cash flow suburb. It's more of a steady growth play, would you say?
I would say that, but it's also been in trouble, Victoria in general, especially when it comes to investors. We've had lots of issues in Victoria, especially when it comes to investors. But it's at that point of it's on its way down and now it's going on its way up.
Gotcha.
It's also got the growth of population going in there, and they're really focusing on Geelong to become, that regional city where it's all connected to Melbourne. The thing I like about Grovedale is it's in that nice pocket. It's affordable as well, but you've got like other suburbs around that are connecting it. So you've got like Hyatts and multiple other suburbs around there. It's not too far from the beach. So you've got beautiful Torquay, and Ocean Grove, Port Arlington, and all Port Arlington, you're looking at multi-million-dollar properties there. And then it's not too far from the CBD.
That's true.
And you've got the university there as well, big developments of the hospital. So it's a great pocket. And you can get something affordable, and you're not going to have a problem with, as you've said, the low vacancy rates, but you're not going to have a problem in getting someone in there.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part, right? It's like you spend all this money to make an investment and then you can't fill it out.
That's right.
And then that's a problem too.
I like to talk to my clients about absolutely capitalizing on their rental. So yes, you've got opportunities to have your long-term tenants. Absolutely. And I think that's a great opportunity. But if you've got places that are struggling to accommodate, teachers, or you've got nurses or doctors that have to come in for locum type, stints, why not reach out to the hospitals, reach out to the schools and say, look, we're happy to house this, build up a contract, and, there's opportunities there to make great cash flow for you.
That's a smart way. I actually didn't even think of that. Like, yeah, to have those relationships and build something that they would necessarily benefit from.
Yeah.
And get their buy-in, because then they're going to support it to help fill it out or fill the gaps for people that need to have that housing. So it makes sense. And I guess when it comes to like looking at Grovedale, like this is one of those that have been the hottest suburbs, right? When you look at a market like this, steady growth, type vacancy and decent liquidity, how would you kind of, I guess, describe it if you had to look at the compounding stability and long-term growth, investing in it now when it's already grown?
Yeah, as I said, I think it's going in that hockey stick. So we're sort of on that way up now.
Oh, so you actually reckon this has Grovedale specifically is on its way back?
Yeah, that whole Geelong region in particular.
Yeah.
There's lots of, I've been looking quite a bit in like Corio and Whittington in Geelong region, just due to the fact of the budget of what my clients have been in. But for the affordability of Grovedale, like that whole region is just amazing. And, where the social aspect of it, of Geelong or Corio in general, I remember growing up, it's like, oh, you can go around it, but now that's gentrifying and definitely changing, there's been a lot of the social housing sort of being moved on. I don't know where, but it's lots of pockets in Corio now are affordable. You've got other suburbs that are up and coming, like closer to Lara or Lovely Banks, and it's places like that where they're good pockets and it's gentrifying and it's coming up and the place to be in a way.
And that's, I think, an important point you bring up. Social housing is something that, buyers advocates like yourself and anyone else really look at, because social housing, for those that don't know, is kind of like how would you describe social housing? I'll throw to you.
Look, it is something we look at, but I don't hone too much onto it.
Yeah.
Because if you've got the right property manager, you can change it. It's not like you get the right property manager, get the right tenants in, and they're going to look after your property. And, with your affordability and what you're affording, it does change over time. So it is definitely a factor, but nothing to like, I'm not going to buy in this area because of this, because whatever your budget is what you can afford to get someone in and grow your portfolio. But, at the end of the day, if you've got good tenants in there from a good property manager, well then, it's not a major issue.
No, and it's interesting. And I guess with Grovedale, right, like for someone building wealth long term, so like, obviously they want to get into Grovedale, let's say, and they want to maybe hang on to that property for a few years. What's the advantage of a market that compounds steadily versus one that just spikes straight away?
So, yeah, as it's compounding steadily, like it's a long-term play.
Yeah.
If you're looking at places like Darwin right now, which I just bought a couple of weeks ago, it's great. Like I'm talking yields. It's everyone's fantasy right now. If you want to get into property, like let's go Darwin, because we're going to make some quick bucks very soon, but you're looking a couple of years.
Yeah.
With Grovedale or Geelong or even Victoria, it's a long-term play.
Yeah.
And we're looking at year on year. We're looking now that the growth is going to go up. I think there's going to be some big changes in Victoria, which is hopefully soon it's going to come and impact the investors a lot.
For sure.
But I think that it's a long-term play. And I always look at property investing, depending on your strategy, as a long-term play.
Yeah. And this goes back to like, without going into it, because we're going to have a whole episode on it, but your game plans is something I really love, because part of when you're investing is having a strategy. So for these suburbs, if your strategy is not long-term, is it worth it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it depends where you're at in life.
That's true too.
And what you're wanting to get out of it.
So it's like if you're 65, is long-term play gonna play out?
Yeah. You're looking at Darwin. I want to make a quick buck for a year or two, pay off my mortgage so I can live the dream life. Or Grovedale, you ain't got 20, 30 years to invest, I don't think, when you're at 65.
Yeah.
You're looking at different factors at different stages in your life.
No, it's good and it's good that we're getting into this, because I think a lot of people, like the reason why we're talking about hotspots is because you buy in them without a strategy, and then you're all of a sudden in this market and you're like, well, fuck, I'm 65.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Because then you're looking at a loss. Like if something happens, or if that was going to be your investment plan, like you said, for 2 or 3 years, cash out and then use that money maybe to go into, a retirement village or whatever it is. What's the point? But if you're in your 30s, mid-30s, you got time. Like
that's right. And it's always like, when you're 65 and you're looking to invest, you're like, oh, geez, I wish I did that earlier.
And now you want to start. It's like, the pension might not do that well.
That's right. Yeah.
And I guess with this one, like, based on the cycle, we're seeing strong growth in 2022 for this particular suburb in Grovedale. And like you said, it's kind of cooled and then it's gradually lifting again. Where do you think Grovedale sits right now? Do you reckon it's early stage, mid or late?
Ooh, great question. I'm going to say, let's go early to mid.
Early to mid.
Yeah, I think a good time to get in. Anywhere in Geelong is a good time to get in if you can.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great area. It's up and coming, growing. It's going to be it's that connector already. They've got the big freeway to Ballarat as well.
Nice.
It's all very connected.
Yep.
Lots of infrastructure, great universities down there, great schools down there as well.
Yep.
So you've got great access to the Great Ocean Road. Like I love Lorne.
Yeah, Lorne's beautiful.
And so it's just big pocket. Armstrong Creek's really up and coming down there as well. So great
awesome
spot.
All right, cool. So I guess let's finish. If this suburb landed on your desk today for a client wanting to grow their portfolio strategically, what kind of person does this suit, or what kind of investor would this place suit?
It wouldn't be ideal for a first-home buyer.
Yeah.
I would be saying this is someone that's already got a little bit of a portfolio, but just wanting to definitely build their portfolio with that cash flow. But as I said, it's a long-term hold. Yeah. It's not something that we're going to go, oh, look, let's buy this. It's our first investment. But we're in that building phase, and that's where we want to be. So.
Awesome. So if you're someone that's maybe got 1 or 2 investments under your belt, including a PPOR, so your principal place of residence and maybe an investment, this could be a good opportunity.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Because you can also borrow with equity if you really wanted to. Your
that's
existing
right.
equity. It's not it's not like you have to save for a deposit. Whereas I think if you were that's why you're saying first time buy. Having to do it this way would be a hefty deposit up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And investment-wise, yes. But if you want to live there, well, go for it as well.
Go for it.
Right.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's go up to Queensland, right?
Oh.
We're in Logan Lee now. So let's contrast this with Logan Lee. So I've got my stats here now. I keep referring to my phone because I've got a lot of data and I'm not that much of a whiz. So median jumped from roughly 750K to 830K with around 15% growth. And that's since 2023 up until now. It's classified at the moment as a plateau. So that's a very different story. Cam, what does rapid acceleration tell you?
So with me, it's people who don't know, you've got your Gold Coast, you've got your Brisbane, you've got your Ipswich. Logan Lee's in that corridor between Brisbane and Gold Coast.
Yep.
From my experience in that area, that sort of Logan corridor area has sort of been your lower socio sort of area as well. And your affordability's been good there for that range. But we all know about what's happening in Gold Coast. We all know what's happening in Brisbane. And essentially it's their turn. Their infrastructure's going. So the affordabilities, it's that ripple effect essentially. Brisbane's going crazy. Medium house is $1 million. And then you've got your same with Gold Coast, like, apartment shortage everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's some very interesting tactics that Gold Coast City Council have done with when it comes to tax. But that's also driving prices up too, so essentially it's that squeeze in the middle. Ipswich is going crazy as well. So if for people to be able to afford, that's driving demand big time in that area. And, there's lots of infrastructure going in that area too to the Olympics, but you've got that connector corridor,
which is a good one,
which is great in there. And it's a perfect spot really.
Okay. Interesting. So if this suburb like label plateau in simple terms, would you say it's cooling market?
I wouldn't say it's cooling. I don't think it's got much of a chance of not being able to grow.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Because I think that the areas around it are still growing as well. They're plateauing out in a fact of maybe people can't afford to get in, which could be driving people out. But there's always people that can afford these areas And it's at the bottom of the affordability scale for a lot of people. So that's driving people to the demand.
Gotcha. So it's now like a shifting kind of target market of who can enter that area rather than, oh, no one can afford it. It's hot. It's boomed. It's too high. It's
that's right.
Well, now the demographics changed.
Absolutely.
So basically, like, would you say that that's maybe when that suburb was, more affordable as an entry point, maybe your first time buyers or maybe your first time investors moving in?
Yeah.
Now that that's seen all that growth.
Yeah.
It's flushed those kind of first time investors, home buyers out.
I would say that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the sort of the way that suburb's heading. And there's low stock around that area too. Or the whole region essentially.
Which makes it like even more competitive. So then you've got people actually bidding actively to get higher prices.
Yeah.
And that's another big factor though, right? It's like the market, I always say it's like you can say a house is worth X as an agent, like, putting my real estate agent days on and my hat. Yeah, that house is worth that. But ultimately, I know that that's just going to be dependent on whatever someone walks in and pays for it.
That's right.
And they're going to just compete until it gets, if it gets to from 750 to 820, I'm not going to complain.
And that's why you want to have someone on your side, right?
That's right.
So knows that. You know where you're at. I'm trying to do this now for a client in Adelaide.
Oh, yes.
And it's interesting because, one of the services I provide, he knows where he wants to live, or they know.
Yeah.
But I'm in to negotiate for them. And, I've done some research prior to it. Everything he's going for is going about 100,000 to what it's actually worth. Right. So it's crazy. It's not just there, it's Australia wide, It's, it's they're big markets and their budget's healthy too.
Yeah.
So I've had to suggest to them, look at what your budget is, and you're noticing these are the trends we're noticing in the areas you're looking at, but maybe look at 100, 150 lower. So then you're in more of a competitive edge.
Yeah, and that makes complete
sense. And I don't want my clients overpaying.
No.
In saying that, I definitely don't want them overpaying, but they're going to make that money back because it's an owner-occupier. So we're looking at lifestyle factors.
Yeah.
And we're looking at growth as well because they want to invest, and they've got a couple of investments already. So they've done quite well. They're just starting a family, which is beautiful, but they're going to make their money back because it's a lifestyle factor. There's great growth in Adelaide, in certain parts of Adelaide, definitely not all. And that's a great factor for them. So places like that, it's ideal. So, but just look at where you're at and strategy, and that's how we can work it.
And that's what exactly I was going to echo. It's like, this just goes back to your strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And now if I just to cap this suburb off, if someone stretches their budget just because it's been labelled hot, what's the potential consequence for people doing that?
Well, overpaying.
Yep.
Yeah, which is, you've got to look at the factors if you're overpaying. What are your averages over a 10-year period or even 20-year period to calculate what you're going to make your money back? I like to always compare Melbourne and Albury-Wodonga, and I'm sorry we're getting off Logan Lee, but, your growth over 10 years to Melbourne and your growth over 10 years to Albury-Wodonga, it's the same, essentially. You're looking at that 6 to 7%, but you can't buy a house in Melbourne for 500,000-600,000.
Yeah, that's true.
You can in Albury-Wodonga. You're still going to make that 6 to 7% because of everything that's happening in Albury-Wodonga to Melbourne. So that's where if you overpay, you have the potential to make your money back, but it can hurt,
at the time.
And I don't recommend it.
And this is the thing, it's like you can stretch your budget to win. And I think this is where a lot of people get caught in the trap of, well, I'm just never going to find a house. I'm going to be on market for 6 months and that's the norm.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you said it well. It's like, well, you got to calculate it 10 years out, 20 years out. Like at what point did that overpayment pay off?
That's
and
right.
Is it going to pay off? And you can't predict everything in your strategy. Like just because I invest today, if I get really sick and that's terminal, like, well, that play has to go on to my partner if I have one, or my family, for them to benefit.
Yeah.
So you can't plan for everything, but you just do your best to plan for what you can.
And that's something that, is important, is to have that plan. And there's definitely ways you can get around it. So if you want to have kids, you want to have holidays, you want to get a passive income when you retire, like there's plans out there that can help you with that. And I believe we're going to go out that at some point.
Oh, yes, we are.
So this will be great. But it's very strategic.
Yeah, I like, and that's why I like it. And this is why I brought you on the show 100%, right? So, because you're strategy driven, and I think that's the difference is people kind of, this is a message to our listeners. I know you guys always I hear me bang on about it, but far out, plan it out. You've got to have a strategy. I can't say it enough because treat property as the reward for all the planning you did. Don't start with realestate.com without knowing your budget, without knowing how you're buying, and then falling in love with this hotspot suburb. It's like, oh, no, my uncle said it was going to boom, and your uncle bought in 1982.
Yeah. Yes.
Which we got stuff planned around that too. So I guess this is the perfect time to go into, our next suburb, which, as you're already talking about, Albury-Wodonga.
Yeah.
So this is the border town of New South Wales, Vic. And it's kind of, it always reminds me of that Simpsons episode, America, Australia.
Yeah.
Let's go regional. So Albury shows negative short-term growth on the data, no clear trend, and days on market tends to be longer. On paper, it doesn't look that exciting, right? Cam, why might, this still interest a long-term investor though?
So as I touch base on, it's, your growth in Melbourne, your growth in Albury, Wodonga has been very similar over that period of time. If you're talking about Albury as a suburb, probably not.
Yeah.
There's as a region. So I like to look at regions. So, you've got North Albury, Lavington, they've made some great growth. As I've said, the hospital's going in there or it's being built. It's been a long-term project between governments who's paying for it. You've got the inland rail. You've got a big, large military presence. So there's always going to be that turnover of infrastructure coming in and population growth into that region. Yeah, it's not holding back. But yeah, if you want to, we talk suburbs, like maybe Albury isn't showing the best, but there's lots of other suburbs around, and I've been buying in there quite a bit. The thing is, your vacancy rates are about 2%. And what I'm learning a lot about the region is that there's a lot of houses the same.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of 3-bed, 1-bath houses in Albury-Wodonga. They are taking a little bit longer for tenants to come in. Yeah, which can be an issue. But if you have the right property manager, again, and I'm very strong on this, they will do right by you. They will guide you on price to rent it out. Don't be greedy. Get the right property manager to make sure that you're making the right choices when it comes to tenants to look after your property.
Yeah, and that's fair because I think this is like just as a PSA to anyone, it's hard going through this journey when you're buying property or investing, especially when you're someone like you're probably listening to this podcast because maybe you're not 100% sure if you want to use a buyer's advocate and you want to do it yourself, which I totally understand. But it can be a long slog. And then when you get to the end and you've acquired the property, you kind of just forget and you're like, fuck it, I'll just give it to, Ray White, I'll give it to whoever, just manage the property. And you don't really screen for the right manager.
That's right.
And this is another fundamental part of what is your strategy going to then continue? Yes. And are you going to grow?
100%.
So, yeah, I totally agree. So one of the questions I do have is like, how does longer days on market change the buying environment?
Well, I think it shows the quality of the property too. Why? And you've got to ask questions why. Yeah. So, for example, I just had a property recently I bought. The days on market showed 60. And I'm thinking, that's not good. But luckily I've been looking at this property prior. Yeah. Called the agent, found out why. I'm like, it was like 13. Now we're up to 45, 60. What's happened? So it was nothing to do with the property. It was the buyers.
Oh, so did they have it off market? Like they already sold it and then they've come back on?
Yeah, they sold it. Yes. Everything went through and then the buyers pulled out. The circumstances weren't right. So boom, straight onto it. We'd seen this before. We wanted to know about it. Jesus. And yeah, so we were able to get a great property. Yeah. With great growth just because we looked at the days on market. Yes, can be an issue. But you've got to look at where you're buying to.
Well, because it's two ways, right? Because days on market, I always say when it's long days on market, I'm like, there's potential to negotiate.
100%. It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. But then, because a lot of people like that are tuning in today are probably thinking that long days on market means something's wrong with it. And I'm not always. It's missed out. Like this situation's actually more common than you think. Someone's purchased on day 13 or day 2. Yes. And then they've had issues with finance. They've had issues with multiple things. And it's usually to do with finance or they're uncertain or something's gone wrong in their personal situation that they've had to pull out. And now the agent unfortunately has to put it back on market. And what message that sends to you guys and the rest of us is something's wrong with it.
Also, what I find is certain agents do is that they have them on days on market is because of their strategy.
Yeah, that's true too.
So they want to have it on an auction,
Yep.
which is fine. So, it can be a factor. Like I saw one property, I was in Bright and Victoria, and it's 414 days on market.
Jesus.
So Bright is a small, beautiful place. The thing I love about Bright is that every season is like glorified. So you got full winter, you got full summer, full spring, and full autumn. It is an amazing place. Not everyone wants to live there.
No.
It's a very sort of small town. So 414 days on market, what's going on there?
Yeah, that's.
I did notice that the agent lives nowhere near there. So
so it's on market a long time.
That could be a issue. I don't know, but it could be there's something with the sellers. But yeah, it's one of those things. So you really need to deep dive. Why is it on the market for so long? But I look at it opportunities. It's what's the play of the agents? Why are they wanting it when properties get passed in from an auction? Because they've overpriced it.
Yeah.
Right. No wonders it didn't go off at auction. It's been passed in. And then there goes another, 6 weeks because it's still overpriced.
Yeah.
And I see that quite common.
Yeah. So it's like a good and a bad thing, right? It's like, and it just depends on you need more information to make that choice.
That's right. Yeah. And deep dive, do your research.
Makes sense. And if you compare this to Logan Lee, right? So Albury-Wodonga to Logan Lee, the risk feels different. Like, what's your kind of opinion on that differentiator?
I think with the data, it just shows for like Albury-Wodonga that longer term period.
Yeah.
Whereas since sort of COVID, the whole Brisbane and Gold Coast has really spiked. And I remember when I lived on Gold Coast, they were talking about the population projection, but that's all changed since COVID.
Yeah.
And so, there's been a lot of impact of people moving up to Queensland from the southern states. So that's put a lot of people have sold out of Victoria, made their cash, and look, I can get this great house in Brisbane for a lot less, or Logan Lee region. So, I think they're two different data sets. They're two different places to buy and different strategies. I guess you could say, when it comes to those two areas.
Yeah. So I guess, all right, let's go through some rapid fire here. Okay. So let's say you have a client building a portfolio, which this is common for you.
Yes.
Long term. You can only choose one of these 3 suburbs today. Which one are you choosing and why?
I would be going Grovedale.
Grovedale?
Yes. Yep. Grovedale or Geelong region.
Yep.
But depending on your budget.
Of course. Yeah.
So
and if you can afford to enter for the long-term play, and again, reminding you guys of the kind of ideal investors here, you've got a property or maybe 2 properties in your portfolio, including your own home.
Yeah. I do like to talk regions over like certain suburbs. So I would talk the Geelong region.
Yep.
And that's where I like to start because you've got that wide range of affordability there. But then, I do like Albury as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. I like it. Thanks for answering that one. And I guess which one would you approach with the most caution?
Out of the 3?
Out of the 3.
Probably your Logan Lee. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Just, as an investment side of things, yes, you'll make that money, but who knows? Who can predict the future? We know we're going to have great growth in Queensland. The government's not stopping with the infrastructure. You've got some great key players in there. And I know with Far North Queensland, even there, like we're very strong on what's happening. I love what's happening in Cairns right now.
Yeah.
Like it's just markets within markets, I guess.
Yeah. Got to be cautious. Got to do your research.
Do your research. Yeah.
So let's move into, we're going to do another one in Queensland. We're going to do Kawara. All right. Yep. So Kawara is interesting. So I guess talk to me a little bit about the Kawara market. How does it compare?
Cool. So I'm not sure if people know, but Kawara Beach is in Cairns.
Yeah.
It's up the sort of northern beaches part of Cairns. It's in near Palm Cove. Beautiful spot right on the beach. It's last, 4 or 5 years, we've had some really great growth here. We're in Cairns right now.
We are Palm Cove, actually.
Palm Cove, yeah, living it up and sweating it up.
Sweating it up for a Melbourne girl. It's been hot.
But Kauara is great. So there's infrastructure coming in here.
Yeah.
But you've also got strong pockets of, Trinity Beach. They've been going really well year on year. The 11% growth, I think it was last year for Kauara. And then this year's, I think it's about 14%. So it's pretty strong. You're getting good rental returns. You're looking around with 5% here as well. But you've got a new theme park coming in. So it's about $260 million worth of infrastructure.
See, that's huge. That's a huge indicator of potential growth.
And people come here, it's a tourist spot, right?
Yeah.
But the tourism industry in Cairns is growing rapidly.
Yeah.
There's a big influence on it. The government and the industry sectors are very focused on tourism and building it up here as well. It's just been released that there's going to be $1 billion infrastructure plan for the Cairns Hospital.
Wow.
So that's going to really make it an epicenter for the hospital as well, and provide new services too, which is definitely needed in Cairns.
Because where do you have to go now? Because you live in Cairns. So
yeah.
If you had to go to hospital at the moment, where would you be going?
I'd be going to Cairns still.
Yeah.
And being a nurse, I used to work there.
That's right.
I used to work in the emergency department. And I still have the opportunity to work with a lot of nurses due to the fact is that I'm buying for them, which is great. Some want to still invest here and buy here, but others, I'm buying other places. However, it's just going to expand the services. It's going to be a big draw card to people wanting to move here. And a recent stat I heard that they're bringing in 100 healthcare workers a month into Cairns. So this is showing that we need the healthcare workers here, but by building these bigger facilities, you're going to attract more people. And when you build a hospital, yes, you need the people to build it, but after that, you need your nurses, your doctors, which are the obvious ones. You need your healthcare, your hospitality workers, your catering staff. You need your wardies, your theatre techs. You need all these different professions to come in. And when you start attracting specialties, it's a big draw card for people. Another amazing thing is that the airport's a big factor for Cairns.
Yeah.
They're always trying to draw in the airlines to make that Cairns is actually a hub.
Yeah. Well, you're so close to, like, if you wanted to go to the Asian countries, you're right. It's not as far as, like, if I had to leave from Victoria, I've got to pass through Victoria, pass to Australia to even get to, like, a Thailand or even a Bali.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and they're always looking at direct flights to these Asian countries. So, which is amazing. Like, we can get direct to Fiji onto the US. We can go direct to Bali, Japan. It's becoming a really great growth hub. I like Kauara particularly. It's a nice suburb.
Yeah.
Lifestyle factors are great, but then you've also got our great opportunities for investments too. And along the way, so you've also got Trinity Beach as well.
Yeah.
And the growth is it's really happening. Another factor why the growth is happening, I believe, is because there's been lots of growth in southern Cairns. So your Edmontons, your Mount Sheridans, and essentially those prices have grown to what they were in northern Cairns, northern beaches. So the ripple effect again is it's carrying on because the lifestyle factors in northern beaches is different to the ones in southern Cairns, and they're catching up. It's like, well, the values of the properties are going up here due to that factor as well.
Gotcha.
So there's also big, the Wangeti Trail. So that's a walk. It's like a mini Camino.
Yeah.
From here, and it's going to eventuate up to Port Douglas, but now it's just 8Ks out, and it's just the first stage. Very exciting. So.
Oh, it sounds awesome. Like, I guess, how would you then compare? You're looking at these 4 suburbs we've talked about. So, we've been in Victoria, Albury, Wodonga. We've done Grovedale as well. And then we went to the other region, which, if I can remember it, where were we in Queensland?
Logan Lee.
Yeah. Right. I can never remember the name of Logan Lee. I don't know why. It's terrible. But when you're looking at, like, these factors for those 4 suburbs, they're kind of showing, like, there is entry point and affordability, but you have to already be in the game a little bit.
Yeah, I think with Cairns, it hasn't been talked about a lot. There is a lot of talk. Townsville was very popular a couple of years ago. And, they've had the factors that other places are having now, like your military, your education, all that sort of stuff. And their hospital is great. Their But this is where Cairns is coming into play now because of the affordability to what is happening, the infrastructure that's happening, and lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like lifestyle up here it's paradise. And like Townsville, we're on that footstep, or the backyard is a Great Barrier Reef. But if you're coming from the Asian countries or anywhere else, you're flying over Cairns to get to Townsville.
Yeah.
So there's a big drive to get, the rainforests and, the beaches, the Great Barrier Reef to Cairns. And it's going to drive up your rental yields because Airbnbs are going to go up, the affordability. It's just, I really like Cairns. I love living in Cairns.
I'm nearly convinced, yeah. Like I'm about to uproot my life with my partner. She doesn't know yet. We're going to move to Cairns.
I know a guy that can help you.
Is it you?
It could be.
No, I know this other buyer's agent.
Yeah.
I'm only joking, but I'm definitely going to talk. We're going to talk seriously. We'll take it offline.
Yeah.
But I want to switch gears because now we've kind of seen the patterns of these suburbs, right? So would you say, as a summary to that section, that for hotspots, it's really about they've boomed or they're booming and they're continuing, but what's changed is that entry point.
Yeah.
And then it's weeded out those people that are probably your first-time investors or buyers that now can't enter as easily as they probably could have when it was a green shoot suburb.
Yeah.
Versus now it's kind of hit its sort of not at its peak, like you said, low to mid.
Yeah.
Now they can enter, but they have to already be in the market like with their own properties.
You have to. Because I remember talking, and even for apartments or units, it's like what you could buy a few years ago, it's like every few months you're talking, you can't buy that now for $550.
Yeah.
You can't buy that for $600. Oh, I want a house. You're looking at $7 easy.
Yeah.
And then it's just growing because the outbid. I went to a beautiful apartment the other day and they're wanting offers $599. And I'm like, oh, mate, I don't know. I reckon this is easy sixes, high sixes.
Yeah.
And I've bought off this agent and it was spectacular, this apartment. And people are putting the money in to updo their houses because they know that they can get more money for it and more, for their
return on investment.
Yeah, it's just.
And that's, again, another strategy, right? It's
absolutely.
If you wanted to buy something to then add more value to it and then sell it, that's another way you can get the strategy out.
My advice for people is if you are selling, I know we're on a buyer's agent's course here, but again, if you're selling your property, you've got one job to do and listen to what the agent tells you.
Yeah.
If you're buying a property and you've got a buyer's agent, just listen to what they have to tell you and take it on board. And that's going to help you with either way, you're going to make your money back. You're going to get your return. A lot of people say, I can do it myself. Absolutely, you can.
Yeah, 100%.
But I know I had a lady come approach me the other week and she's like, have you got any clients for my house? I'm wanting 700. I'm like, yes, I do. Like, let's sign this away.
Yeah.
I did the right thing. And I said to her, look, do you want to just talk to a couple of agents?
Yeah.
I know this lady personally. I said, it's in your best bet to get it on the market. She's like, I want to save on the fees. I said, don't think about the fees because what your property is actually worth
and what you're about to take for it
is 100,000 more.
Yeah.
So I was like, please just think about it. So it's now on the market. It's now getting fixed. I think it's being released in a week or two. And she's going to make that extra 100,000, if not more.
Yeah.
So it's just take the advice from people that are in the market or in the profession, like anything you do. You can do your own tax return, right?
Well, this is what
absolutely not for me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But it's like, no, I should not be trusted. But it's like what I always say, your best due diligence in this space is to research the professionals. And this is part of why I'm so passionate about the No BS podcast, is because I want to highlight the professionals that either I've worked with, I've personally dealt with, or I've vetted to say, here, I've done some preliminary research. Now it's up to you to see if you're comfortable to work with them, because that's your due diligence. Like, if you don't trust the buyer's agent process, the real estate agent process, no one blames you, right? It's fair enough. We're all skeptics at some point.
Yeah.
You just got to do your research to go, well, do I trust this person? Build that relationship, have a fewer conversations. One conversation isn't going to lead to, yes, you're signing a document in that night and done deal, but do your research on the people. If you're happy and comfortable, then trust the advice that's being given to you. So do your due diligence, because there are some dodgy BAs, there are dodgy agents, there's dodgy people in every profession.
100%.
You just got to do your due diligence. Let's flip into the green shoot stuff, right? Because this is now we're going to talk to you about how do you pick these good markets? Like, how do you pick what's going to grow into these hotspots and what signs of life to look for? And we're going to focus it on, I guess, a few places. So we've looked at the hot ones. Cam, you mentioned Newborough in Victoria. This is Latrobe Valley, so we're regional. If anyone follows that guy, what's his name? Teddy, who does the Suburb reviews in Melbourne. He's the guy who's like, you can't change my mind. And he goes and stands in the suburbs and he just roasts all the worst parts about these places. He did one in Morwell the other day and he upset everyone in Morwell.
I can imagine.
He pissed everyone off. Suburbs have labels because of the socioeconomic factors. This is what we were talking about earlier, you know. Not a lot of people working full time or maybe part time, and it's driving more of the people that are on the welfare living in these places, or they've got social housing because they can't afford to buy or rent. Let this not be a deterrent. We're going to talk to you about how this growth happens. So you mentioned Newborough. The entry price at the moment, or the median, is around 475,000. The growth is already sitting at 11%, and there's infrastructure nearby. What made you start watching that place?
I've bought in around that area a couple of times for clients.
Yeah.
So one is their budget. Now I'm expecting flack off this region, right? And that's fine. So leave your comments. I'd love to hear them. However, you've just mentioned 11% growth. Now there is infrastructure going in there. There's lots of agriculture. Mm-hmm. My grandma I grew up in Warragul. I didn't grow up in Warragul, but my grandma was from Warragul. Now that has grown heaps. You've also got Druin around there. Like, you're looking a lot of $1 million properties there.
Yeah.
So again, that goes out. I spent some time in Moe, and it's definitely not Toorak or Brighton. That's for sure. However, if you've got an entry point at $470,000 and that's what you can afford, can you save $47,000 a year yourself if you've got a budget of only, say, $500 anyway?
Okay, yep.
So there's that. You're making that return on your investment.
Yeah.
You can always have the right property manager in there, which is going to help you with that. Now, the infrastructure, the Commonwealth Games is still getting the infrastructure being put in. They're still putting that in there from their budget. Yeah. So they're still building I think it's in Churchill. Yeah. There's a big university going in there, but they're building the sports grounds around that were going to be used for the Commonwealth Games.
And even though the Commonwealth Games have been moved on, they're still doing
that.
Yeah.
So the connectivity to Melbourne, from when I was a kid, it took like an hour and a half.
The V-Line bus trains.
Yeah. Now it's an hour.
Yeah.
So when I was in there, I was talking to some of the locals and they were like, oh yeah, there used to be like 4 trains, a day, and now there's like 43.
Yeah, wow.
So you can afford to get the train in for an hour. People get the train from Greensborough, it takes an hour to the city. So
bloody hell, I'm in Cranbourne in the southeast, and when I used to go into the city, it was an hour and 25 minutes.
That's right.
Like, I'm not even that far by car.
And you can listen to our podcast on the way on the train.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not that far. The growth is, but you've also got those outer suburbs, right, which is becoming a lot closer to these regions. You've also got agriculture. You've got Pakenham. You've got office.
Yeah.
Costco want to build there, so that's saying something.
Yeah, so it's not that. It's what's building. So your early signs of life are like, well, what are they building around there? So it's like 475 entry point. That is a first home buyer range. That is definitely a first time investment range. So even if you're not having properties, you're probably hearing Newborough going, I don't know if I could live there, but it's like we're getting to the point where we need to enable these suburbs, and that's why the government and councils are spending money on them to make them accessible to hubs like Melbourne.
Yes.
because you're getting outpriced in your Cranbournes, like, which is out of Melbourne. And then even if you go Clayton or Oakley, you're already looking at 900, 800 upside.
Yeah. And then so you've got those areas, but what can you buy anywhere else in Australia for that price? I mean, there is Tasmania.
Yep.
And I like Tasmania as well. Like looking at Launceston, you've got Newnham.
Yeah.
Looking at Hobart, you've got Glenorchy. Your prices might be a bit different for around your 475s, but in Tassie, like they're building $1 billion AI factory out there.
Oh my God.
Like, hello. So what is that? That's growth.
Yeah.
As we've touched before on population growth.
Well, it's like part of that infrastructure too is, I think you mentioned this with hospitals, it's driving professionals like to the area, like workers. And for those of you going, why would I give a shit about people working? It's like, well, because the affluence of the suburb matters. So if you're going to raise job levels and entry levels of, from they're sitting at 25% to maybe 55%, that's a uplift.
Absolutely.
Already.
Yeah. There's, they've got the University of Tasmania, and I know by working in the healthcare industry, it's one of the biggest universities.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing their postgrads there. I went to university and did my undergraduate in Tassie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was crazy. Great place, amazing teachers and all that. But, it's a ever growing evolution, university. So that drives people to move to Tasmania too.
Makes sense. And I guess outside of infrastructure, were there any other like indicators like vacancy days, on like days on market or vacancy that kind of start, like what other, I guess, like signs of life did you start to see?
When when you start heading out a bit further to like your Traralgons, the prices are definitely growing there. And Traralgon is classed as like the hub of the Latrobe Valley, essentially.
Yeah, it is.
Like the CBD.
It's like a city.
Yeah. And I understand that. But, it's definitely growing that whole region. I like it, especially for your affordability. You're going to get your good rental returns there, good yields. And, people are developing there. Like you're seeing houses there with lots of land on them, and they're building like 2 or 3 units at the back, or, they're building granny flats at the back and stuff like that.
So it's like, what kind of like website would you have to go on to kind of see that infrastructure? Because I think a lot of people don't even know where to start with that if they wanted to know what's being built.
Well, luckily for me, I have some exclusive subscriptions for buyers agents only. And I can find out that stuff. One being Stash and then Abodi.
Oh yeah, of course.
So that's very helpful, and the demographics, So yeah, buyers agents, we are lucky enough to be able to have data that helps us determine these areas and where it's going next.
Yeah. So I guess if you're anyone like that's trying to look at these things and you're listening to articles or news articles, I always say take media with a grain of salt. Back up that article by doing your own research.
Oh, like I love white noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they put it out there and they go, the biggest thing that's ever been built, if you take that verbatim and then it falls through, the media's just reporting to create some sort of excitement, tension. They want to make you feel something. So just validate those points, like just even a Google search to say what is being built, and do your deep diving, like deep dive if you're going to do it by yourself. But of course, working with an advocate like Cam, we do get access to a shitload of data that's exclusive to us. And that's because we pay for it, right? It's not like, oh, this is free because you're a buyer's agent. It's like, no, you can't buy the software because you're a buyer, but you're a buyer's agent with an agent license. Yep. Enter your details, you're in. Now you can go for your life.
And we've got relationships.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah.
It's a big, like a lot of industries, it's big relationship industry. We're always talking to people on the ground.
Oh yeah.
So,
all the time.
It's amazing. And some agents will tell you some things, some agents will tell you absolutely nothing.
Yep.
But it's just building those rapports, building up the relationships, be kind.
Yeah.
If you're buying multiple properties in that region, they're going to tell you things because they want you to continually just make things happen easier for them.
Yeah.
And for everyone else. So, yeah.
And I guess if someone owns their own home and one investment right now and they're listening, how does a $475,000 entry point change their suburb strategy compared to entering into a market that has a $830,000 entry point?
Yeah, look, it is different.
Yeah.
I probably, if you've got a lot of equity in that, I would be looking in different regions for that. But if you're a first home buyer or your first investment, I would be looking in these regions. But if you've got a bit more of a budget and you're wanting to have that longer term growth, doesn't mean your yields are going to be as great. But if that's part of your strategy, I probably wouldn't look in this area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would be looking in, like Grovedales and stuff like that. It's all Geelong regions.
That's for your longer term people who have properties. But if you're like that first time investor,
if you're starting out and you're like on a minimum budget, let's
this
go.
is a great place to start.
And this is a couple of people I'm buying for that.
And this is the good thing, because this is where you're seeing the green shoots. So it's like, this isn't going to come up on your top 10 hottest suburbs to buy, right, today. It's not going to come up. And it's probably going to say, oh, the demographics crap and you got these risks with tenants. But again, if you mitigate those risks and you work out your risk appetite, then that's a really great entry point. I've literally been talking to our producers behind the camera today, but I've been talking to him and his brother. They're young, they're in their early 20s. And I've said, get into this Traralgon, Moe, Morwell, Newborough area. Get in now while you can afford to and rent it out, because they're young. Like, if they hold on to this for at least 6, 7, 8 years or longer, they're going to be all right. Like, they've got their first home buyer deposit. And I think that's my message to a lot of, and like our message being, if you're a first time buyer feeling really low on, I can't enter, what do I do? Your strategy might just have to be different. It might be a rent vest. So you invest in somewhere here, grow that wealth, and then you don't have to save for a deposit again.
That's right.
Because think about the deposit you need for 475 at 5%.
Yeah.
Far out. It's like less than 20 grand.
It's healthy.
Yeah. You're in.
Yeah.
So, no, that's really good. So I guess, like, if you're going to negotiate in this market, I'm going to go into one of these like Grovedales, right? And I'm going to deal with the agent to try and put a bid in or to try and make an offer. How different is it bidding on those properties that have already experienced all this growth and negotiation, all this growth, and it's a hot market probably with multiple buyers, versus going into somewhere like a Morwell or Newborough where there's not as many people poking around in it? How does it change that negotiation?
It is different, because you're looking at it's the way their strategy is with how they're marketing their properties as well.
Yeah, of course.
So essentially, they know that they've got an influx of buyers. So they don't have to, they're always going to take it to the market.
Yeah.
You've got more opportunities in these other places where they're off markets. And I'm constantly getting off markets for these regions.
It's true.
So you don't have that competition as much. People's way of thinking is that, I can't get in. So they're not buying when they actually can get in to these markets. But they're spending their time focusing on, I need to try and get to that $700,000. And waiting, but missing out on great opportunities.
Yeah.
So when it comes to negotiating, you got more chance sometimes in the lower ones than you do in the highest. And I remember talking with the agents about 12 months ago in like Moe and all that region. They're like, we haven't done much the last couple of years. I got to remember what I got to do now.
Guys,
so, and now they're flat out, like they can't keep up. And that's the demand now is shifting there because people can afford. And, you're talking about Melton, right?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah. It's even what I noticed was, I think it was you and I on the phone that time. So we were looking at Abode, which is the software I've got for BAs. And I had a look at Morwell. I nearly fell over at 16% growth. This was probably around September last year that we were on a call. And I said, are you joking?
Yeah.
16%.
Yeah.
And the entry price at that point was like 350. You could still get a unit for 280,000. And I'm like, should have bought then.
I know.
Yeah. So this is what we're talking about. Now we're looking at Newborough 475. My mother-in-law bought in Newborough bloody last year, and she was high threes or mid threes.
Yeah.
So it's growing.
Can't save that.
No, you can't save that. And to cap this off, Cam, let's land it practically. If someone listening wants to research smarter this week, what should they actually track? Like what's a couple of data metrics?
I'm always looking at the long-term possibilities.
Yeah.
Looking at what's happening in the area, what is the potential to happen in the area. But I keep touching on this, just don't focus on areas all the time. Focus on what you are. Like, stick in your own lane, work out what is right for you, what you want in life. Do you want to have kids and a family? Do you want to go overseas every year? Work out what you want in life, and then let's work out what you want to get you that in life.
Yeah.
So it's about your strategy, let's not focus on where. Let me focus on where.
Yep.
And then we can discuss it and talk together, and we'll build this portfolio for you.
Yeah, I love it. Cam, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been a great episode, very different for our format, so I love it.
It's awesome.
Oh,
No BS.
No BS. Always no bullshit with us. So maybe building wealth isn't about buying what's loud, but maybe it's about buying what's early and understanding where a suburb, or in Cam's case, a region, where it actually sits in the cycle. So Cam, as always, we love having you on the show. We've got so much coming up with you this year because I just love your insights and your no BS approach to all of home buying and investing. If you're listening and you want help building your portfolio strategically, or maybe you're a first-time buyer, get in touch with Cam. As I always say, it costs nothing to have a chat, pick up the phone and just have an open discussion. It might open your horizon, it might expand your thinking, or you might walk away going, I think I'm going to try myself, and then you'll end up with Cam anyway, because that's what we all do. But look, Cam runs TheWayE1 Invest. He is based in Cairns. He does buy in New South Wales, Victoria, your Albury-Wodonga regions. Australia-wide. He's got a bloody brain on him, I can tell you that much, if you haven't already learnt that from this episode. So his details are on screen and in the show notes below. So reach out, have a chat. It's not going to hurt. And as always, thank you guys for listening to the No BS Real Estate Podcast and for continuing to support us. So we appreciate it. Thank you, Cam, again for being here.
Thanks, Joe. It's been fun.
That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast, powered by Abodi AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodi.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Abodi AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodi.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.